Coming up, a Sad Styles production.
Get into it.
And welcome to the Retrograde video game podcast, where this week we talk about all of our fears to fathom.
Oh, yes, we have so many fathoming fears. My name's Andrew Baskin. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
My Kevin McAllister-Worth, because today we're home alone.
No. Speaking of Kevin McAllister, his most famous scene is he tries aftershave.
Yes.
And he puts on and he goes, that burns, right?
Yes.
That makes no sense, right?
Why?
Well, because he didn't actually shave any hairs on his little face.
Didn't he? Oh, no. The whole point is he's imitating his dad.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never gotten that.
Really?
This is all, oh, okay.
Because his
dad every morning looks in the mirror, holds himself by the cheeks and goes, my dad was depressed later in life.
In a movie
he figures out
where a mom and dad forget their child.
Yeah.
Your biggest concern with that dad is that he screams like a child every time he shaves. Actually, you know what? You're right.
Mikey,
that is weird.
If every morning in your childhood bed, your dad was in a mirror like, you'd be like, I think I come from a broken household, a very wealthy broken household.
I'd also have a pet spider as well that I keep
Yes.
on the top shelf of my bookshelf.
Yes.
And a girlfriend that
woof.
Andrew, it is RetroGrave.
Uh-huh.
RetroGrave continues, and I forgot to do my spooky intro, but
RetroGrave lives.
RetroGrave, that's a good one.
Thank you.
We almost don't live, though. The more this month goes on and the more we play, the more I honestly, I don't want to die. But I would rather be dead sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
I'd rather be feeling nothing than what these games make me feel.
So we just played another scary game. Now
We
it's third in a row of scary games that we have played.
Yes.
And we play the game first, obviously, then we start the podcast so we can talk about it. And every time we're about to start the podcast, I can feel how flush I am.
Yes.
Like how much blood is in my head
Yeah.
because of yelling and being terrified.
It's more like when you're doing an exercise and you're doing it wrong because you're not breathing, and then you stop it and your head is just throbbing because you haven't taken a breath for like 45 seconds. I'm sorry for talking about exercising to a video game podcast. I'm sure they're not doing much.
You double down on making them feel bad. You're like, first of all, like you're like, okay, whatever. And you're like, you wouldn't know anything about it. You're like, oh my God, this fucking guy is killing me. It's kind of like a hangover. You feel hungover from the game because this dump of adrenaline and emotions and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
by the way, if you're out there, send Andrew some love. He's running a half marathon. Just under a week.
Yes, which I'm going to feel awful.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel so bad.
Oh, sorry, actually,
I
just ran the half marathon. I can't believe you forgot that.
You know what? Yeah, it was so easy. I didn't even think about it. I was just thinking about Mikey the whole time, going like, you guys wouldn't understand.
You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, it's
I think they own shoes.
What do you guys just wear, like a grocery bag as underwear? What are you doing here? You unkempt monsters. No, my prediction for the half marathon that I'm about to run, that I have currently run when you're listening to this, is it's gonna be awful.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
No way you finish and go like, oh fuck yeah, that was so easy.
It's one of those life accomplishments that I don't think I'll ever do. I don't think half and full. It just doesn't interest me.
What is there something not even athletic but like physical? Is there an achievement you want to
an amateur boxing match?
You want to sign up for an amateur boxing match?
I don't know that yet, but the more I do it and the more people in my gym are doing it, the more I think, and like I've fought them and I've seen what they can do, and I'm like, I might be able to do it, but I'm also fucking petrified of it.
Yeah. But people always say it's really good to go in a ring scared to hell.
Yeah.
Like it's a really good tactic.
Just be scrappy.
Just super scared. Be afraid to be hit. That's a really good tactic.
Yeah, and I am, Andrew. I wake up in the morning. My player one is thrashing around. That's why I'm good at boxing, because I can just avoid her limbs.
You should get your loved ones to just smack you around a lot, just so you're used to getting, skin on skin contact.
Honestly, what am I more afraid of, entering the ring or entering a game like Fears to Fathom? Who's to say?
Okay. We kind of said that I don't know where you want to go with this one, because like, how quickly do we want to talk about this game?
Let's say this.
Okay.
We're going, if you haven't checked it out yet, go check us out over on the YouTube channel. We have already played the game.
We have.
We know all about it. Mm-hmm. We are still sweating, just like all of our listeners, just by putting their earplugs in.
God, Mikey. Holy shit.
We're going to take a little break to talk about some current gaming news or gaming updates in our own life. And then we're going to break down the entire first chapter of Fears to Fathom. A very interesting game and a very interesting developer and a fantastic story and all that stuff. So hang tight. Before we do, Andrew, let's talk a little bit of gaming nonsense, if you don't mind.
Mikey, nothing would make me happier in this world.
So this has been an unbelievable year for games. I feel like I say that every week, and it's becoming like one of the all timers.
Wow.
You got the Tears of the Kingdom. You've got that's about it.
Okay, yeah, we got one, and it's good.
Every week it seems like there's something, even if it didn't land as well as you may have hoped. There have been big releases around every corner, and there still are some to the rest of the year. And the one game that I keep hearing people talk about is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And it's a game that I never thought I would play because I get paralyzed by choice. I am very much a Sylvia Plath, prune tree, a fig tree kind of person where every choice I make is 1,000 choices not made.
Oh, okay.
And so I struggle with these games. And
That's the Sylvia Plath reference you want to make, eh?
that's this. Andrew, I got some cookies baking downstairs.
I'm a great baker.
I'm a great baker.
You wouldn't get that, you uncultured swine.
No, they wouldn't. And don't pick up her collected work of poetry. I don't think you could do it.
I remember reading a comment one time of like, God, these guys address Robert Frost a lot. Oh, yeah. And now it's like Sylvia Plath is like, you better be aware of who she is and her many references and possibly how she died.
To this day, the funniest comment that I've heard on our podcast was, and this was a couple years ago, these guys talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 and Overwatch more than they talk about the actual game of the week.
I think we got that out of our system though.
I think we did. I don't think we talk about that as often as
Well, you don't
we
play
used to.
Overwatch, so that helps.
I don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
And Red Dead isn't worth playing.
You still hate it, yeah.
No, I don't hate it. It's just not my style. Yeah. Kind of like Baldur's Gate, because sometimes there's too much to do and then I get paralyzed by choice. And I just figured with all the text in the game and choices you have to make and leveling up your characters and learning a new system, which as I get older has been increasingly difficult for me, learning complex systems and games.
Yep.
I was like, this is just not going to be my game. I'm going to sit this one out. But everyone, not everyone, a larger and larger number of people who I listen to and whose opinions I trust have been saying that Baldur's Gate 3 is the game of the year in this game, in this year of fantastic games. And I'm like, as one of the most underrated video game journalists of all time, I owe it to my fans to give them an opinion of this game.
You can barely get through that sentence. You had struggled to even get through that. My fans.
All my fans. Mom, dad, my stuffed animals. No, so I started it. Yeah. Downloaded Baldur's Gate. Barely fit it on my PC because it's like 160 gigabytes or something like that.
Oh my God.
Hardly fit it on my Steam Deck because, as I said, 145 gigabytes or whatever.
The fan is really kicking in now.
Andrew, that legitimately is one of my biggest complaints about playing this game on the Steam Deck. Yeah. The fan is so loud that I can almost not hear the dialogue.
Turns into a helicopter after a while.
It could.
Holding it above your
all
hands.
Of a sudden I'm like, it's raising me like I'm an old man in the movie Up.
Yeah.
But I will say, I'm doing my best to let decisions go, to play some of the game. If I do something I didn't like, if I offend someone I didn't mean to offend, to embrace the failure of the game, because what I keep hearing this game is great at is rolling with the punches and giving you a scenario in spite of the fact that you've fucked something up, saying like, well, this is like life. You now have to just deal with the consequences of getting something wrong. And playing it this way makes me more concerned about taking risks, but also makes taking risks much more exciting because I know I'm not going to save scum and just try to like attempt a check. Like, do you know much about the Baldur's Gate?
I know a little bit, and obviously I've been reading and listening to a lot of people that have been really loving it. Right. There was also a huge amount of people. I shouldn't just say that like it's like a cult classic or something. There was a lot of people that were excited about the game coming out in the first place. 100%. And then you naturally hear all about genitalia and you can design it and stuff like that. Yeah. And I do appreciate that we just knock off the biggest topics off the first. Like before you ask, you can pet a dog and you can design your own genitalia. Yeah, you and you can also pet the dog's genitalia. I want to design that dog's genitalia. I want to play God.
It is, I guess it's just, it hasn't happened enough in games, but the point of like the when you get to character creation and there's a genitalia option, it's still staggering to me. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of nudity in my life. I seek it out in all walks.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, seeing it in a video game character in such a like, they're almost T-posing, like they're just standing there, and then it's just like the
weird man, the Da Vinci.
Yeah. the almost, it's like Cyberpunk was the weirdest because when you switch from one to the other, it's like it pops into existence, but there's like movement on it.
Like it was just dropped there.
Yeah, it's like I don't think they had the same in Baldur's Gate, but what they do, for all the right reasons, because who knows how you're going to design your character. But whether you choose a male or female or non-binary, because they have that choice as well, you can, regardless of your choice, you can slide through all genitalia options. I don't know if I didn't expect it, but there was something about, I did a good job of designing a character that looked like me, and it's standing there to just all body parts to bear. And then I'm like, penis 1, not quite. Penis 2, not quite.
How many
Penis
choices?
I think there were like 5 penis choices.
Wow.
And then I skip past penis 5, and all of a sudden it's just me with a bush. And I'm like,
what do you think?
I was intrigued, Andrew.
I kind of liked it, eh?
I was intrigued.
Kind of fun. Either that, or in my mind, you're just Buffalo Billing the whole time. Just tucked behind. I fuck me. Would you fuck me? I fuck me.
I rotate my character around.
It's sticking out the other side. Oh, that's just great. You got to dance them out.
Yeah.
Wearing a shawl.
It was an exciting process designing my character. It's an intriguing process playing the game. I'm not taken by the gameplay just yet.
Okay.
I'm struggling with it a bit.
Why is that?
Because it is the things that I feared it was. A lot of text, less engaging mechanically in terms of like Twitch mechanics, so to speak. And a lot of like reading and choices and thinking that I've made the wrong choices. But I keep telling myself, I think I have to get to the 10-hour mark in this game before I decide whether I'm going to stick with it or not.
Okay.
And I'll keep updating everyone. But it's nice to have gotten into it enough to know, like, to feel somewhat comfortable with the systems. It's very overwhelming at first, but it's cool. It puts you in scenarios that the first time I had an opportunity to like engage with something and make some consequential decisions, and then just see the way that the dialogue and my party members respond to it. I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that does sound
I am
cool.
enjoying it, and as long as I can commit to living and dying by the decisions that I make, and commit to role playing as the character I've decided to role play. I've decided to play a character there's a fighter class, but not like barbarian.
Okay.
It's fighter as in like fighting. So I'm gonna
Like prize fighter?
kind of
Really?
So like when you switch
Like
to
your athletic achievement goal?
but like my athletic achievement goal, exactly. So I'm kind of like a shit-talking athletic person. I'm role-playing someone who, if someone challenges me to a fight, my pride won't let them get one up on me.
Sounds like a Guy Ritchie character. What's your problem?
But like that's the idea of making it not enough, because in my mind, if I'm on the street and someone challenges me, I'm going about my business. I don't need any of that. But I like to play the version of myself. It would be fun to play without consequence.
Yes.
So like play it like a Guy Ritchie character. And that has been almost like a stress release for me, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, we talked about this on the podcast in the past, that like two things. When we design a character, they most often have to look like us. And the second thing is we have a really tough time, especially on the first playthrough, playing a game that is not the noble way of playing or the good way of playing. We struggle to do the evil thing.
Yes.
Probably says more about us and our like upbringing, but like the fact that you're falling into that, like that just, it follows the path that we said we're going to take.
It's weird because, you know, you listen to like on we mentioned this podcast a lot, but Get Played, another video game podcast out there. I'm sure there's some cross listeners, people who like both of them.
Sure.
So I don't mind shutting them out. But Heather Ann Campbell talks about how she doesn't feel any way morally whatsoever about interactions with video game characters. And she has the stance of like, she's baffled as to why we could possibly either be afraid in video games because they're not real, or feel bad about making a decision one way or another. And I don't like that stance, because it's art, and art is made to evoke empathy in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And I do feel empathetic. And if I played a game where it's just guns blazing, I don't care, I think that would be less fun. I think you have to hold yourself to some sort of code and decide what that is and then play by that.
Yeah, this is like a therapy session, because like because it really says a lot about you how you answer this question. I think my thing is, I'm afraid of consequences. I am afraid of, if I do this thing, I might not be able to do a thing later in life.
That's true.
And it's probably the thing in real life that's stopping me from running my car over a bunch of pedestrians or something like that. Because then I will not be able to.
That's probably the thing that you can't do.
I aim to the right, to the sidewalk, and then I go, no, because then you won't go to the movies next week. You'll be in jail. And you're like, oh, okay.
You're not going to be able to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Andrew.
I will not be able, because it's a very scary movie.
It's a very scary movie.
I won't be able to see Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a good one. Hopefully.
Yeah. It'll be longer than my prison sentence. Hey, to-do. Everybody.
No, I agree with that, though. I think the idea of locking yourself out of the ability to make certain decisions later or something like that is a big element, especially because I feel like video games have not handled bad choices, like evil choices, well in games yet. oftentimes all they do is punish you.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now you don't get the reward, or now this person won't talk to you, and that's it.
But it's just too black and white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It should be more ambiguous in the middle of like, well, it kind of works its way into the middle a little bit, but instead it's more like LA Noire, kind of like, You're like, I think he's guilty.
Just shifty eyes.
Just sweating.
Again, the worst thing about
Polishing
that
a gun.
game, the hardest thing about that game is not knowing whether it's the actor being a bad actor, the mocap just glitching out, or me correctly reading something. I just never know.
It's an impossible situation because if they did that when they're guilty and they don't do it when they're innocent,
you'd
be like, well, this is too easy.
It's
this guy's guilty.
100%.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That game still love it.
Interesting. I'm glad it exists.
That's such a backhanded compliment. Well, I hope you nothing but the best. Thank
honestly,
you.
The episode I think that I'm most proud of that we did was our LA Noire episode. I think it was the 10th anniversary or something along those lines.
Yeah,
whatever
that sounds
anniversary it's at now. Go back and listen to that one. It's like an LA. It's like a noir aesthetic to it. There's interviews, and that was a ton of fun. I really
that was a good
enjoyed
episode.
Yeah. This episode is not one of my favorite ones because we had to spend some of it playing this game, Fears to Fathom. Not because it's bad.
Okay, I was gonna say, did you not like this game?
I didn't.
We don't have to cheat to the end, but did you not like?
I'll say this. I didn't love the story of last week's game, Don't Be Scared.
I agree with you.
But I think it was more intriguing than what we had in this.
That is very interesting. So let's explain the game and then we could talk about it. But that's very interesting. You said that.
Let's take it from the top. Okay, so it's developed and published by Rail, who is actually a one-person developer publisher. Their Twitter handle is at the Rail on Twitter, RAYLL, and their byline for their profile is something along the lines of like making the Fear to Fathom games from my bedroom, like just doing it on his own. I saw or read an interview in with Sports Kita where they interviewed the guy. His name is Mukul Negi. He's 21 years old now, and he started developing games in 2015. So he's been doing it for 6 years. It's wild to think of him accomplishing what he's already accomplished.
2015 is not 6 years ago.
Right. Sorry. I saw the 21 years old that I had written.
Okay.
And then I thought 2021.
Oh, right.
But it's 2023.
But that's like every time when people are like COVID, I'm like, yeah, 2 years ago.
Yes.
They're like, no.
Yeah.
It's COVID-19.
Yes.
You're like, oh, right. Okay. It's incredibly impressive to be that young doing it and to be doing that alone as well.
And kind of as your first shot at it too, I will say this though, and we'll get into it later when we get into our reviews and we talk more of the game generally.
Sure.
This game is not without its flaws. You can see the seams in video game development in this game. So
like how you climb stairs.
How you get downstairs, how you eat lasagna.
I hope everyone's warmed up a whole bunch of lasagna, a whole mess of lasagna.
I can't wait to talk about the lasagna.
It's my favorite part.
It is. It's part of a series, the Fear to Fathom series.
Are you okay?
No, Andrew. I just fucking
I know.
played this
I'm
game.
sorry. You got a little too scared.
It's an episodic psychological horror game. The first one is free, which we just played. That's how the drug dealers get you, and that's how this game gets you.
First ride's free, baby.
If only I disliked heroin this much the first time I tried it.
Do you think? Okay, real talk.
Yeah.
Do you think people try heroin and go, not for me?
I think they try it and they think it's so good that it's not for them. I think some people can see the writings on the wall and be like, yeah, if I do this again, I can see myself getting addicted.
If I had the most control over my body, then I would love to try that because I'd have the greatest night of my life and then go, thank you, sir. And I just shake his hand and I walk away, never to see him again.
So part of me would like to, just to know.
But
the part that worries me is imagine knowing that that's out there.
But that's the problem.
That's it.
We were describing addictions to drugs.
Yes, but even if you say no now, what if your life goes down a worse path before or a worse path later? And then all of a sudden you're just like, I'm going to fucking go back to that heroin. Like 10 years later.
It's always an option.
It's always an option.
Right. Okay.
I don't want to know that level of satisfaction exists out there. No thanks.
That's how I feel about a lot of maybe.
That's why I don't season my foods.
Yeah, we got to talk to you about that. You're really missing one of the true joys of this life. That's how I feel about a lot of the darker side of most of the world. It's like, if I just don't know, it's probably better because then I don't feel temptation.
I think so. There are exceptions to that, but I think bloodthirst is one of them.
Yeah, just the need to kill.
It's not even a need as much as just the deep satisfaction that I get. It's like my life's incomplete without it. So I can live without it. It's not water or food, but it's just, what's the point otherwise?
Yeah, everyone needs a third thing.
A third thing.
And mine is the need to end people's lives.
Yeah. No, not a need. It's just
It's for me.
it is a need for
It's a
you.
little for me.
It's just, this one's for daddy. So the first one is
Jesus.
Home Alone, which we played today.
Yes,
that
we
came out
played Home
July of 2021. That's why I was thinking that, because in 2021,
Oh.
he would have been, he was,
Oh, Mikey. Oh, my God. I'm not even looking at the numbers and I know what it is.
I don't.
Okay.
How old was he in 2021?
He was 19. He's 21 now, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but you don't know when his birthday was. He could be 20.
I don't, what the, okay, what's his star sign? This says a lot about him.
Definitely a Cancer.
Ugh, that's what I thought. Classic Cancer.
The next one that came out was Norwood Hitchhike, which came out in January 2022.
Ooh.
Carson House came out in January 2023.
Back to the house.
Ironbark Lookout comes out in October 2023. So it
this
comes out this month in a couple weeks, and it looked kind of Firewatchy, which is very
Right.
intriguing to me.
That's exciting.
That would almost be one that I would want to go back and play.
The hitchhike one sounds really interesting too. That's
Yes.
like a really interesting idea for a video game.
It's a fantastic idea for a video game. There's this new genre of game that's kind of out there right now. It's like it's like a road narrative game, but like a car simulator game.
Okay.
But like you are the car. It's like yeah,
It's like the movie Cars, like I'm Lightning McQueen.
Yes, let's bring it back. Let's talk about car circumcisions again.
Car circumcisions.
That's what you brought up last time. We
I
talked
did,
about
the
that
tailpipe.
movie. Tailpipe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be.
You could do so many car famous people things. You know what I mean? That like, famous figures that are cars.
I don't understand.
Well, because like Lightning McQueen's a famous car, right? But then
Maybe the most famous.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The world's a big place, right?
Yes.
So like, I don't know if Sedan Hussein, you know what I mean? Did he exist in the Cars universe?
Did you say Sedan Hussein?
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew, I like what we're doing here.
Do you see what we're doing here?
Because I did hear that Saddam Hussein, whenever you got in him on the radio, Van Morrison was playing.
See, that makes a lot of sense. Sedan Hussein was a huge Van Morrison fan.
Van Morrison fan. What else? This is when your and my eyes glaze over.
Yes.
And we just start thinking.
We should just like hum out loud and just like, yes, of course. While we're in the back of our brain, there's 1,000 monkeys working on typewriters.
I don't know if I have quite 1,000 of them.
Oh no, they're all pretty stupid, but like,
I have 5 or 6 monkeys on typewriters.
I wish I had quality over quantity, but I can't,
No.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll go back and try the Ironbark Lookout one sometime later. But yeah, no, sorry. This genre of games where you're kind of like car sims,
Yes,
it seems very interesting to me.
Mercedes-Benz Affleck.
I'm
sorry. Okay, we're done.
Are we?
Well, I don't know. Matt Day Monster Truck.
Oh, that's a really good one. It's funny that you went to Matt Damon next, because that was my next one.
Oh yeah. It's just name association at this point.
Hi, Jack Nicholson. I guess not Hijack. Carjack Nicholson.
Carjack Nicholson. That's good. If he was a professional wrestler, it could have been something like that.
Carjack Nicholson.
Yeah.
So this one is Home Alone. The premise is you're a 14-year-old named Miles while your parents are out of town and shit happens. Can you survive? Eventually there's a potential burglary. We don't want to say too much yet, but we will get into the story. It seems like when this game started out, and this seems to be sort of the premise, that all of these games are kind of taken from like creepypasta stories.
Yes, this one more maybe than others too, because even on the homepage of this one, it says to share your story, please send it to, and I think it was fearsoffathom@gmail.com or something. Fear to Fathom stories @gmail.com. And so they're looking for, submissions. Oh, you thought of a car one? You just wanted me to talk so you could think of a car one.
No, it just came into my head.
All right. Oh no!
Now I don't want to say it.
Oh, good. This is a good warm up.
Steve Buscemi.
So it's a semi truck or a bus?
It's both. It's a half and half. It's a
hybrid.
It's a hybrid. Oh god.
Oh god. Well, that's Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi.
Fantastic stuff.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, who cares? No, it looks like
creepypasta.
it's submissions.
Yeah.
To create stories around these submissions.
Yeah.
And I'd be very curious. Maybe we should go back and like see if if the author or the creator has ever really done anything around this, because I'd love to know where he's getting these ideas. If he's picking them from just things and going like, that's a good game.
It does say at the beginning, it's like, do you have a creepy story? Send your submission to whatever. Sorry.
I said that part already. You were just thinking of Steve Buscemi.
Legitimately did not hear you.
Yeah. No, It's a really, you should go to YouTube because you can see Mikey with eyes just blank nodding like,
I legitimately didn't hear you. I was worried that you would have already said that, but I zoned out completely.
Yeah.
So did I mention that you can submit your stories to an email?
Oh my God, Mikey. Jesus Christ.
Let's go to reviews because you asked me what I thought about this game, and we're going to get into it in a little bit. Eventually, we're going to give this game two ratings out of 4 bits. One is for how scary the game is, and the other is for how good the game is. Very positive reviews on Steam, and very positive is a measurement on Steam. There's mostly positive, very positive, overwhelmingly positive. So this one's very positive. Here's some positive scores from TWT. This one didn't make any sense to me before playing the game, but now I very much understand the game. Positive review from TWT. I cannot walk up the stairs, mate. Edit. It's okay. I got up, thanks. Full of typos. It's like this guy typed this when he was in a rush. Edit. Too scary. Don't play ever.
Wow. Okay, stairs are definitely a thing in this game.
Stairs are definitely a thing in this game. And that speaks to the seeing between the cracks of game development, as we talked about.
Right.
There's certain things in this game, opening fridges, opening doors, sitting down, eating pasta, drinking water. Most of the things that you do are like, it's very clearly a one-person team. And that, I don't know, do you think that detracted from the overall experience for you?
Which part?
Just the kind of clumsiness of the design.
No. I actually don't know. I don't think I took that away from it. You're a 14-year-old kid that is in a familiar place, but you are unfamiliar with your circumstances.
Sure.
Their parents are away. Do you want to just tell the story, I guess, now?
Yeah, no, I already did that, Andrew.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking of SUV bowl.
SUV bowl.
Sorry. We're just taking little turns of mental vacations in between while we're talking.
Oh, man.
So yeah, you're in an unfamiliar situation. The 14-year-old kid is not used to being in this house alone.
Yeah.
And there are, red herrings all over the place.
Sure.
Your friends and whether you're going to go hang out with them, and you kind of get distracted thinking, "Oh, they're coming over." No, they're not. That's for tomorrow. Even the mention of saying we're going to do stuff tomorrow makes you think, well, tonight is just like a way stop.
You said that when we were playing the game, you were like, well, clearly nothing's going to happen now because we have to go to the party tomorrow or later or something. I was like, I don't know, Andrew, what if we don't leave the house? Because when I was looking around, I'm like, it didn't seem like the streets. And again, this is just seeing through the game development. Unless you like morph to another location, the streets didn't look very habitable. So you wouldn't be able to like walk somewhere. You may just whatever. I was like, I don't think we're going to leave this place. I think this is just where we're at. And I think it's better for that, to be honest.
Yeah. GMC Hammer. That I agree with you, but I like that they're playing with your expectations a little bit. From the beginning, the mother, so they do have this really cool text message thing, which I think works pretty well.
Yeah.
I think that's usually pretty clunky in a lot of games, but this one made you stop.
Sure.
Pull up a separate screen, and that kind of break actually helps build tension.
Break. Speaking of cars.
Break? How so? Continue your thought.
Well, there's a gas pedal.
Yeah. Oh,
and
brake.
There's a brake pedal.
Yes, there is. You're right.
Yeah.
There are two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi on Diane Keaton.
If you didn't have one at the end, I was going to be so mad at that. Hyundai Keaton. Okay, that's good.
Hi on Diane Keaton.
Hi on Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
And that actually causes like a really good break because your mother says from the beginning, check the I'm going to be checking the cameras to see who your friends are coming over and things like that. So that ring light or ring door kind of thing or whatever those, what are those called?
Ring, like a doorbell camera.
Yeah, doorbell camera are working really well. You also mentioned that the neighbors across the street and that's Miss Paula and you can see Mrs. Paula's lights on.
Yes.
And so that's kind of like a sign. It's almost like the green lighthouse effect in The Great Gatsby. You're like, it's out there. I see it.
There's something out there.
Yes.
There's something out there. There's, and there is always a sense that like something sinister is going to happen, obviously because we know that we've got a horror game. Yeah. Let me, before we get too far into it, let's go through the rest of these Steam reviews. Actually, you've got Dog-Faced Gamer, positive review, says the first in the Fears of Fathom series gives us the smallest taste of what this series would offer. A great short horror experience on its own, and each playable episode builds on top of its foundation. That's great.
Yeah.
No gimmick to that one. That was good. Gage Easter says, I need to change my shorts. Positive review. And then I figured we owe it to do some negative reviews as well before we start to color it with our own experiences.
Both sides.
Both sides.
We got to argue both sides here.
This is what we do over here.
100%.
The left, the right, the alt-right.
The alt-right, the alt-left, which I think is just a theater group that we have to talk to.
Sauce says, couldn't chase killer upstairs to throw my lasagna at him, 0 of 10. Wrath of Tron says, why does this have a VHS aesthetic when my character communicates with an iPhone? That's a very good point.
Solid argument.
Yes.
Can you imagine just the creator like, great argument. You're like, you're not going to answer? I'm like, no, shut up. Just like, I don't care.
Did you like, and now we can kind of get into our own thoughts on it, Andrew. There is this kind of like grainy VHS aesthetic to it. Did you like that?
I noticed it on the home screen, but when we were playing, I didn't really notice it. Other than it looks like the warmth of what a VHS thing would, but the burn effect or the scratchiness went away.
No, that went away, but it did. There was definitely a filter, kind of like a soft,
sepia,
worn out sepia kind of filter. Yeah.
Is it sepia?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Should ask my player one. I feel like she would know that.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know many things, and colors are definitely because I don't see colors, so it's impossible for me to really.
That's why you're better than us.
I'm not. I didn't say that. I thought it, but I would never say something like that.
I only know one thing. It's Kathy Lee Griff Ford Focus.
Wait,
Griffin. Kathy Lee Gifford.
No,
Gifford.
Who's Kathy Lee Gifford?
Who the hell is Kathy Lee Gifford?
Right,
How the hell dare you? Regis Philbin is spinning his grave right now. calling her to the crypt.
St. Regis Philbin.
St. Regis. Like the hotel?
No, St. Regis is a car. I think it's like a type of Cadillac.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We learned something new today.
There we go. So apart from the aesthetics and kind of the clunkiness of the gameplay and everything, the game is pretty straightforward. Some reviews I saw on Steam were kind of calling it like a chore simulator. And I can see what they're saying. You rolled your eyes at it, but I can kind of see what they're saying.
I feel like that's an exaggeration of doing 3 things. Doing your homework, getting water, and getting lasagna.
But when you say that, that doesn't sound like much to do in a video game. When you say that, it almost seems like this is an excuse to get a couple pop scares out on you.
Okay, but then we're going to be talking about the genre as a whole of horror, of going like, well, why do you need to at Poppy's Playhouse? Why do you need to assort the colors? Why do you need to? It's like, well, we need to move the story along to,
For sure. There's an element of that, but this one just felt like they didn't even try to hide it at all.
Sure, but I would say, but you're a 14-year-old kid. Yeah. I don't think it's like, it's not like out of the realm of like, go water the plants. You're like, well, why do I have to water the plants? Like doing homework, eating, and drinking, I don't think are like unsustainable human desires.
No, that's true.
There's no bloodthirst on it.
But there's also a reason why you don't really have many video games that are just asking you to go do your homework, eat lasagna. And I know you're going to say The Sims.
Except for the most popular video game franchise.
But there's more mechanics around it. All I'm saying is that the minute-to-minute gameplay, if you take the pop scares out of this, are very unengaging. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But what I would have liked a little bit more is a bit more color around who we are, what we are, and what we're doing. Because when you started out and it's like, here, like there's text on the screen.
Yes.
And it's like, here's something crazy that happened to me. I don't know how to say it, so I'm just going to show you or something, whatever it is like that. At the end of this, what is the story?
I agree with you that in the beginning, it comes in a little hot with going like, well, there's all this kind of stuff in specific times and specific dates and like all this kind of stuff, which really ultimately didn't matter. I actually think the mundanity of the story that the kid is living through helps pop with how scary everyday life can be with extreme moments.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's definitely true. And it worked for that.
It did.
It's the promise that it set up and didn't cash in on that I'm a little disappointed with.
Totally fair. Sorry, go ahead.
No. However, it worked for what it was.
It did, because this is just a normal 14-year-old kid that was alone at home.
Yeah.
That is not only experiences that I think we've all had in some capacity, it's the experiences that they put in movies because it works really well, because you can relate to it. Now, it's like what like The Strangers are or something like that, where it's like, it's nothing you did to be wrong.
Yes.
It is somebody influencing their, whatever.
That's always a very creepy premise.
Very creepy premise. And that's what this is.
Like The Strangers is like, why did you do this to us? Because you were home.
Because you were home.
That's very
scariest
creepy.
line.
Very, very creepy. And that is kind of the thing here. The thing that confuses me a little bit about this is if you...
We're just going to spoil this now, right?
Yeah, now we're talking full story and all that, which it's a legitimately 20-minute game. You should go try it if you haven't yet.
If that.
If
you do not make a mistake, it's much less than that.
It could be 5 minutes, actually 5 minutes.
Yes.
Now, the confusing thing about this, twofold. One, if you fail, the game literally crashes you out. Like I was reading reviews about that and I was like, well, the game's been patched. It's not going to crash me out. The game literally shuts off and you have to start again from the beginning. And that's when those mundane tasks become a hindrance.
Yes.
You got to go eat another full pan of lasagna in 4 bites.
I can't.
Can we talk about the lasagna?
Yeah,
for a
let's.
second?
This is all I've wanted to talk about. So you want to order pizza. Your mom's like, no, I made lasagna.
Yes,
it's in the fridge. So the kid warms up a whole tray of lasagna
in the oven in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Whole tray of lasagna.
Yeah.
Well, no, it does black out, so who knows?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Not with the
doesn't
lasagna.
fade out?
You just put it in and clicks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You eat a whole tray of lasagna in 4 separate bites.
You look down.
Yes.
You're sitting in front of the TV. You look down at the pan. You click the pan. A quarter of it disappears. And the sound effect of you chewing on it is disgusting.
It's truly disgusting. It's like, I would get if they faded in, fade out, and the tray was just kind of empty.
Yeah.
Okay, it's video games.
Sure.
That's food. What are you going to do? No, incrementally, like crazy bread from a pizza store, you are going, one. And he eats them. He's like, okay, well, time to go to bed. Would you go ahead?
You can, if you want, bring the tray up with you to bed. It doesn't say like put it in the kitchen.
Also,
or throw it on the ground.
I was going to say, in a game with that very little controls, you could throw that thing.
The first thing that happens when you pick up the lasagna is the prompt at the bottom says press G to throw.
Yeah.
Why?
And so when we don't know what we're getting into the first time around, because we die.
Yeah.
Is that, or whatever, captured, is that we think, oh God, we don't know at any turn there could be something happening here.
Right.
Little do we know.
Sure.
And so when you see the throw, it's like, oh my God, we're going to throw lasagna at something.
I'm not throwing it yet because there's going to be an intruder and I'm going to
boil it.
With this game, boil it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just going to throw boiling hot lasagna at them.
Man, of all the heated up things that you don't want thrown at you, if you want to prevent an intruder, a hot lasagna that gets like sticky and all. Oh, that would
you know what the worst thing you can throw is boiling
water,
boiling sugar.
Oh,
because it keeps burning you as it keeps going.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's really bad. Sugar burns are like the worst burns you can get. Actually, a movie recently called No One Will Save You. There is boiling water involved, and it's really good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, I think we're going to watch that, me and my player one, pretty soon.
I'm very curious to see what you think about that movie. Yeah. But nonetheless, yes, we thought we were going to have to throw lasagna at an intruder or a ghost, or we had no idea what we're getting into. Is it going to be ghouls? Ghouls are very popular.
I do, you talk about the mundanity and how that could, as you were saying, play into the effectiveness. And that was one of the things. There were times when I was legitimately like looking at the stairs, like, I think I saw something, Andrew. I think I saw something move up there. And you're like, I don't think I did. And I'm like, no, Andrew, I think I did. That's when your imagination starts to go. Yeah. And I really like that.
And so the first time around, we played it and we checked every room. We went outside. We, did everything, and we explored the space, which I think is very much intended.
Yes.
So you're supposed to see everything because later, that's kind of a key part of it. You go back upstairs. You need to go do your homework. It's 12:38. You go to bed. You got to grab some water.
Yeah.
In that, I kind of like that they're creating opportunities for you just to be scared for extended periods of time, even though nothing
for no
has happened.
reason. That was great. Because the first scare doesn't come until, I gotta say, 3/4 of the way through the game.
Yes.
I mean, short game, but still. And it comes when you go upstairs after getting a drink of water.
Which also, the water, truly disgusting the way he drinks.
Truly disgusting.
He's just like, oh, I gotta drink some water.
It's like you're drinking thick gelatin as water.
I gotta get my drink. I gotta drink my water and get my spoon.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I think this lasagna solidified my throat.
Jesus. You got unflavored Jell-O and a belly full of cheese. And you got to deal with an intruder? This is a worst case scenario.
I hope this intruder's
for the intruder. Best case scenario, he scares you, you shit your pants. Jesus Christ.
I just got to think this murderer is like, oh my God, this is the greatest day for me of all time. A kid is alone. I'm gonna kill him. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna stab this kid. Stabs him. He releases the most vile shit upon death. This just mostly mascarpone and gelatin water. And it's like, oh, this is not even worth it. This sucks. It's the worst day ever.
If you stabbed that kid in the stomach, it would be like you stabbed a Hot Pocket. Pizza sauce.
It's a hot balloon of a Hot Pocket. It bursts like a beached whale.
Imagine being the cops on scene afterwards. What the fuck?
It's everywhere. You're looking at the roof.
There's 2 dead bodies. One of them is a child stabbed in the stomach. The other suffered severe burns.
The murderer is just sprayed against the wall. Just limbs everywhere because this kid exploded with a full tray of hot lasagna.
I like the idea. The murderer or the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
And the cops are sitting there. Police line, do not cross. Neighbor. Guy with pizza marks on his face.
He looks like the Invisible Man. Oh, what happened here? Oh God. So yes, you go back upstairs to do your homework. You got the water. You're about to go upstairs, and you get a text from your mother saying, you also have received text at this point from your friends saying, we're off for tonight. Let's do something tomorrow. Cool. Your mom goes, hey, who's outside? Miss Paula sent this photo over.
Yes.
This whatever. You have not heard anything at this point.
Yeah.
But one of the few controls that you've had is to crouch or check under the blinds.
Yes. Yeah.
So you go back downstairs, you check the blinds, and there's a man just staring at the door.
Yeah. A little bit of a sound cue.
Yeah.
Pretty creepy.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sitting there, like almost just like.
Second question, if it wasn't terrifying, how long has that guy been doing that?
That's a great question.
Miss Paula has been taking a photo, texted your mom has texted you, you've gone downstairs. That has all happened.
That's the thing. Miss Paula, don't text my mom who's out of town. You come out the front door and say, what the fuck are you doing?
Yell from your window. Yes. Just go like,
I
sir,
see you. We see you.
The police are on their way.
You don't want to stab him. He's got a belly full of Hot Pockets.
Mother left 9 trays of lasagna. We're 4.5 in.
It was creepy though, the way that it happened. You're about to go to bed, right? Like what you're saying. You get the text message and it's a picture of your own house and you see the guy standing out there. That what a good setup.
And I will say, really smart. The home screen is from the outside of your house.
Yes,
it's the only time you see that house.
Right.
So when you see the picture,
true.
It's you only reference that because of the home screen.
That's a great point.
Otherwise you wouldn't have known what the hell you're looking at.
Nice little detail as well. Miss Paula's window is lit up.
Lit up the whole time.
Yeah, so you can tell she's been kind of like looking out for you or looking after you. Now, here's where things suck. Where legitimately where I think the game drops a couple points in my esteem.
Okay, all right.
After you peek out and you see the creepy guy, you get a text from your mom, says, don't open the door. Out of curiosity, I have to open the door. Now, I'm not saying that you're right to do so if you're playing this game.
Right.
But I had to. I couldn't not do it. So I opened the door. There's no one there. The guy creeps out, like pops out from behind the door, giving me legitimately one of the worst jump scares I've had in a game. Bravo, well done. But then the game cuts out.
Yeah.
And we have to start again from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're playing the game knowing that anytime we make a mistake, we have to do everything over again. Just rewind the clock a minute. Legitimately, I think that would make this a much better experience.
If you woke up again in the middle of the night, or, whatever. I totally understand that, especially because there is a fail. If there wasn't a fail or whatever, then I get coming back. So we fly through the other things, not knowing now we don't need to check everything. We can just, knock off checklist stuff.
Right.
We go back down, we see him. The other issue that I had was that with a lack of controls, she's like, check that the doors are locked, go upstairs in your room. Well, we can't lock the door.
Yeah,
the only button we have is open door.
Yes.
So I'm not going to get near the door. And so I go upstairs and we hide under the bed.
We do. And I just want to interject here for a second, because what I would want to do in that game is explore the area. I want to know what they've set up here. I want to know like what's around each corner. I want to know what sort of other jump scares there are. I want to kind of push at the corners a little bit. But once we realized you have to replay at the beginning, I didn't want to explore anymore. I just wanted to do what the game wanted me to do.
And thank God we did, with your turn, when Mikey did the first turn, we explored everything. And it's really key because we looked in the parents' bedroom, which was a very important thing that comes up later. And so we're like, okay, that's like a square room. There's a bathroom. Okay, but we close the door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. We go upstairs to hide. We get outside and we get a text from our mom.
Yeah.
Going like, Miss Paula's at the door. And now we hear a doorbell for the first time. And we go, the police are coming. Go outside. It's okay now. You're safe.
Yes.
Right. So we go outside, and as we're about to do that, we can see a little bit of not a light from the room, but a light from the street.
Sure.
Now showing that on our main floor, on the second floor of the house, to go down the stairs to the front door, there is the parents' bedroom door is open, and a light from the street is reflecting a shadow.
Yes.
Onto the thing, and it's slightly moving.
Yeah.
And so we get close to the stairs.
And you should say that door is right next to the stairs.
Right. To get to the front door, we need to pass by that bedroom.
Yeah.
Kind of. And so we go, oh crap, what do we do? Miss Paula's outside, the cops are coming. Our mom has told us to go outside. And all we've known
we have no lasagna to throw either.
We have no lasagna to throw. I have already digested all that gelatin water. And so now we don't know what to do because everything so far has told us, listen to your mother.
Yeah.
Because she has been the one that's been right the whole time.
Yes.
But she's telling us to go downstairs and there is clearly something right there.
Yeah.
And so we back up slowly and we kind of wait, and you and I are talking the whole time, and we just close the door, and that's the end of the game.
Yes.
because we also hear police sirens coming in too.
So that's the thing. We're waiting in the hallway, and you and I are talking to one another like, do we go down the stairs even though he's right there? Like, we're pretty sure he knows where we are.
Yes.
And I said to you at one point after just looking, I'm like, oh wait, we know how to crouch. The game has taught us that. I'm like, what if you crouch and go down? I thought that was what the game wanted you to do. Thankfully, we didn't, because like you said, if you wait long enough, you can see the police lights coming from outside. You hear the siren and you see them outside, and that's when we decided, let's go back in there. And then it just says a game by what's his name? Rail. A game by Rail, which great way to end the game. That was a fantastic, like almost non-ending.
I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, we were saying this just before we started. It's one of the few games where actually waiting paid off instead of like, you know, there's so many games, especially older games, especially retro games that we've done on this podcast. Just go. You'll figure it out. Go. Yep. This one was actually like waiting and listening and trying to be smart. Actually paid off.
Inaction was the proper action, which is kind of cool. Yeah. It's almost like the beginning of Far Cry 5 ? 4 ? One of those ones where at the very beginning, if you just wait around and don't do anything, then you win the game.
4.
Yeah. 4. Yeah.
It was the cult one. Yeah. It's very interesting. Like there are games like we played last week.
Sure.
Where you're like, every time I turn around, mannequins have moved.
Yes.
And then there's this one where you're like, heads up, somebody outside your house is going to try and kill you.
Yes.
And you're like, fuck, that's just like kind of too real.
You're right. We talked last week so much about don't be scared, how much they were trying to gross you out and scare you and dial it up to 11. And there's something immediately that just gets my back up a little bit. Like, okay, I'm a kid, and okay, someone is clearly a pedophile, and okay, I've got, like you said, the mannequins and this and that. It's like there's blood everywhere, and hey, we can dump dead bodies into the mannequins. Like you're just trying to ratchet it up to a point where it's now unrealistic, and I'm like less into it. But you're right, there's something so familiar and normal about this, and I know this kind of contradicts what I was saying earlier, that it is spookier. It's a spookier experience to live through. I do want to separate out what I said earlier from that sentiment, which is the repetition of these menial tasks and having to do them again makes it not a very interesting game to play.
Sure.
Especially if you have to replay it. But it does create a really nice setting.
I agree with you. Do you want to get to our scores?
Let's do it. So just like we did last week and all the weeks before it, when we played these scary games on RetroGrave, we give these games 2 rankings, 4 bits each from each of us for the first ranking. And that is a measurement of how scary the game was.
Right.
And then another rating out of 4 bits, which is how good the game is overall. So do you want to start, Andrew, with your rating out of 4 bits for how scary the game is?
Yes. It's funny. I'm going to take a page out of Mikey's playbook, which is, I will say, this is a thing that you subscribe to that I don't always subscribe to. Excuse me. I don't always subscribe to it. But I think in this one, it is the most clear. You always talk about what is the intention of the creator? What's the intention of the author? Whatever. That actually does matter. What are they trying to do in this?
Yeah.
And this is one of those examples where I think it actually is really important to go, to compare this to the newest Zelda game or something like that. You're like, no.
Of course. Yeah.
This is a 15-minute game where all they're trying to do is tell one story, one very specific angle to try and get you scared. Yeah. And I will say, I was very scared. To choose the normal everyday evil is a much more scary thing than Lucifer has come back and he is, wanting babies. You're like, oh, that's
not even scary to me.
Yeah. Well, you don't have babies.
I don't have babies, and I love Lucifer.
Yeah, he's great. Eh?
He's great. You know what he does?
Yeah.
Eats fucking babies.
Yeah.
Get rid of them.
You know what Lucifer would like? Bottle service.
Lucifer would love bottle service.
He would just feel like the kind of guy that's like,
who would also love bottle service?
Babies. Lucifer's inviting over. He's like, guys, come over to bottle service. We got some vodka, we got some tequila, we got some warm homo milk over here.
White Russians, everyone.
White Russians. Yeah, we'll mix the two. I know you both will agree. Boobs. Am I right? Lucifer's like, this guy. All right. So evil. The intention is to be scary in this one everyday normal evil thing. And to be honest, I was very scared.
Yeah.
The lack of there's not a ton of things to be scared about, but they use this everyday setting incredibly well. In my point, I honestly thought this was terrifying. I was 3.5 out of 4 for me.
Oh, great!
I loved it.
That's story wise 3.5 out of 4, or gameplay wise.
I was gonna say scariness.
Oh, scariness. 3.5. Okay, cool,
I was very scared by this game.
So, I was very scared as well. And one thing that I think that is required for horror, maybe not required, but really helps good horror is a day-night cycle.
Yes.
I was very much more afraid when it got dark,
Yes,
and the
yes.
lights in your house were off.
We
And-
made that reference too, where
Yes.
like the sunset in the cars make me feel relaxed.
Yes. But then
Ugh.
you wake up at like 1:30 or something and the lights are off and all of a sudden the stakes are raised a little bit. And that's always really creepy to me. The other thing I really like that that horror does is create a safe space and an unsafe space.
Yeah.
Now you can, over the course of the game or movie or whatever, mess with that concept by creating a safe space and taking it away from the viewer, from the player, whatever. But there was the bedroom in this where it just felt like nothing was going to go wrong.
Completely.
And every time I got back in there and closed the door and looked around the corner, I'm like, it's good. I'm familiar with the spot. I really like it.
Totally.
So already it's knocked off two conventions of horror that really work well for me. And then the mundanity and the imbued sense of doom and dread that ratchets up as the game goes on because you know something's coming. Yeah, it worked for me the whole time. Even when I wasn't scared, I was imagining that I was seeing things that I wasn't seeing. And what more do you want from a game?
Fair.
Plus, it gave me the biggest jump scare I've had in a very long time with a game. I think I'm there with you. I think this is a 3.5 out of 4.
Nice.
It's very scary. The only reason I wouldn't go 4, even though it's tight and it's compact, is because there were some issues with the music where it would just play loud for no reason. And I think that was undeserved when you're just heating up a lasagna. It's like, there's no reason to potentially be scared right now.
That was weird.
And then it was the fact that replaying it from the beginning just really limited how much, like, there's no procedurally generated scares. So you have no reason to be afraid going to get your lasagna the second time, that sort of thing. But yeah, I was so scared that opening the fridge was scaring me. So this has to be a 3.5.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. So 2 3.5s. That's pretty good. That's a 7 out of 8 for its scariness. I'm going to do it out of 4 for what I thought about the game. I really like this game. I think it's simple and tight in its nature. And I know you're going to have an issue with the mundanity, and that's totally fine. I think that's totally fair. But for it to last 8 minutes of mundane things, it's not. It's good. It's good restriction of that. It could have been 15, and it would have been like Jesus Christ. But you do a couple of things enough to keep you on edge. That it tells you one story. And then the conclusion's kind of interesting. It's kind of like something we talk about on the podcast too. Like the end of Doctor Strange, the first one, was ended with a discussion and like not a fist fight, right?
Yes.
And I like that this end of this video game was not like running past and he's chasing you and you're like, oh my God, which was kind of last week's game. Instead, it was inaction of trying to be smart about this. And I thought that was just it worked really well because you also don't see him caught or like everything's okay. It's just like this weird breathing motion. And I thought it was really great. I am going to give this 3.5 out of 4 again. I think for what it is and for its simple nature, it delivers a scare. I like that. I think the biggest thing that limits this game for me is the fact that you have to, and I'm sorry to keep harping on this, but the fact that you have to start again when you fail is very bad for me. Sure. Really don't like that. And yes, it's a limited experience and it's only 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe. But the stakes being what they are, that you just have to go through not only mundane tasks, but mundane tasks that aren't designed particularly well, really highlights the flaws in the design of this game. If you create the game, the first time you go to sit down at a desk and it kind of like phases out and then you're sitting at the desk rather than the animation of moving to being sitting at the desk, I'm like, I'm okay with this. This is fine. The designer is almost telling you like, hey, I'm limited in what I can do. This is how the game is going to move. But the second time you have to do it and realize that the game designer didn't have the wherewithal to say, people aren't going to want to do this portion again, is a big miss. However, I agree that the pacing was perfect. The restraint that Rail showed in like you said, having a inaction as the climax of this game as a 19-year-old or whatever we said seriously. Is like beyond me how that happens. Bright things in this kid's future. Seriously. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 4. Okay. Not quite a 3. Wow. Not quite a 3.5. In spite of all the things that I said, I'm very much a fan of brevity. I couldn't play much more of horror. Like I had someone recommend a game recently that was like Ken from the Pixelated Thoughts podcast recommended we play Amnesia: The Bunker. And I'm like, what is it, like 45 minutes, an hour? He's like, no, it's like 4.5 hours. I'm like, I couldn't do that. That is too much to be scared. I also don't believe a game could properly scale up for 4.5 hours. That's true. You know what I mean? True. I just think everyone kind of blows their load and they kind of figure it out. But now, here's something worth talking about or questioning how this affects the rating of the game. The fact that if played perfectly correct, there are no jump scares really, except for looking out the window maybe that one time, which I don't even think you have to do potentially. No, you do.
I don't know that you do.
Would it trigger? I don't know. You could feel triggers in this game, but like you hit it. Okay, moving on. You hit it. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if you had to, I don't know, but also if you're doing that, then why are you playing these styles of game? Like, look, I'm just going to do what they tell me and I'm going to go under the bed and now I'm not going to, like kind of thing. I'd find that very interesting.
It would be, but it is, I can see that someone would have played this game and not had a big jump scare in it. And that person who's seeking thrills would have been like, the fuck was that? That would be curious. I don't know. I don't know that it does necessarily hurt it, but it rewards you in giving you what you want for having failed, which is fascinating.
Honestly, if you haven't played this game and you've listened to all us do this, which it'd be too bad to ruin it, I would still go back and play it and see what you think of it, because you can do this while waiting for a bus. Like
that's true.
It's like you could do this while waiting for the doctor's appointment.
Or a Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi, absolutely. Yeah. So for sure. But let us know what you think. I'm very curious about this game and the last game too, especially the first toy. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. The first
Don't be
toy.
scared. Thank you.
You said don't be a toy?
I said don't be afraid. I said, is it afraid or scared? Means the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm both. But then until then, we got some more Retrograves, so we got to do this. And we can't wait to do that again soon, because I hate all of you. You uncultured swine. We love every single one of you. We can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is Tesla Thompson, the Retrograve podcast.
Game over.
I also said Porsche de Rossi, but I thought that was like too obvious.
Same with Adam Carolla.
Yeah, that's right there, right?
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Even cars got toy cars. If humans have action figures, toy cars have.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.